Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is TheStarkz and welcome to yet again another The Last of Us Part 2 video. Today we're going to be talking about the release date yet again just because there was an article that was released a couple days ago that I wanted to talk about. However, obviously I never got the chance nor time to do it. So today I figured, with the spare time that I have right now, I would sit down and talk about this news. So it's again regarding the release date, which a lot of us could be seeing sooner than we think. So in this article, which I'll have in the description below for you to read for yourself, PlayStation 4 fans have been eagerly awaiting news on The Last of Us Part 2's release date, including myself, ever since it was announced back in December of 2016. Now, almost 3 years later, a rumor suggests players might get their hands on The Last of Us Part 2 sooner than they might think. Development for the highly anticipated sequel began in 2014, meaning that developers have had 5 years to work on making it bigger and better than its predecessor, if that's even a possible thing to do. With such a long development time, you'd think that means a release date isn't too far off. Well, rumors of a 2019 release date swirled after a Peruvian retailer posted an advert listing an October release date, and was made even more confusing after a European retailer slated the game for September, which probably would have made more sense given the fact that Outbreak Day is in September. But anyhow, Kotaku's Jason Schreier, who we all probably know by now, later told fans that The Last of Us Part 2 was indeed supposed to release in fall of 2019 or this year, but has been pushed back to 2020. Now, a recent rumor seems to back up his claims. So the real question is, when is it coming out? So according to a user on Chinese gaming forum A9VG, which I assume stands for video game, The Last of Us Part 2 is set to release in February of 2020 and will have 4 different editions available for purchase: a standard edition, a special edition, a collector's edition, and as well as an LE edition. So I do apologize for not making a video about this earlier. Like I said, I've just been busy with different things. I also don't want to necessarily make a video speculating about the collector's edition. I'd rather wait until concrete information comes about the collector's edition. That way I can actually make a proper, more informative video about it, which I've been trying to do lately with other games like Death Stranding I've done and God of War. I think I might have done one for Spider-Man, but I don't think I ended up releasing it. But anyhow, I'm just going to wait for official statement from Naughty Dog and PlayStation about these different editions, and then I'll make a video on it. But it's cool to see that we might get some kind of edition, like an LE edition. So there's been speculation and rumors regarding what this LE edition could be, that this article kind of swirls into, but I'm not going to talk much about that. We also got a glimpse, or just there was this interview that Ashley Johnson, who does play Ellie, had on YouTube, and she accidentally almost said she thinks it's coming out in February, and then obviously she stopped herself from saying the entire word. So just based off of that fact, as well as all of what we've been told by Jason, as well as a few insiders, I suppose, that February 2020 is probably the more concrete or realistic date that we're going to be seeing The Last of Us Part 2 get released on. Now, I've said this in the past in a couple of other videos that I don't think February necessarily fits the theme of The Last of Us. I know a lot of people think it does. I disagree, and the reason I disagree is because I find February is just one of those months where a horror-esque kind of zombie video game or TV show just doesn't seem quite appropriate to have on February, and maybe that's just my weird opinion. I don't know. I just feel it's just February is an odd month, and given the fact that it's just not. I guess it would be the right time, but maybe not entirely, because listen, a lot of gamers aren't necessarily adults, and a lot of people who play The Last of Us, I mean, yeah, there's a large majority probably of people who are adults and who are working, but listen, there's quite a majority, not a majority, but there's quite a lot of people in school who play The Last of Us as well, including myself. And as much as I'd say, I'd love to get The Last of Us day one, which I will, and I'll get the LE edition if it's true, I probably won't be able to focus much on The Last of Us Part 2 in February, because by then I'm in a new semester, and coming a new semester comes all new different challenges, and with that I have to really focus and hammer down on my last and final year and semester of school. And so I don't think it would make sense nor appropriate of me to dedicate a lot of my time into games if my future essentially is on the line. So that's why I think February is kind of an unrealistic, or not unrealistic, but just doesn't seem like the right appropriate part. I personally think maybe spring. I know in Canada spring starts like March 20th or something, so you can have it after that, or maybe not in April. Maybe they could, but I mean, Cyberpunk's coming out in April, so I think May would be great, for Mother's Day or something. I possibly, but that would mean that this game would have an additional few months to really hammer down on this game, and that means perfection is something a lot of people are going to expect. And I don't know if Naughty Dog can pull that off as effectively as they might think they would be able to, despite me being a huge fan and despite me having a lot of faith in Naughty Dog. But nonetheless, that's my opinion, of course. Let me know when you think The Last of Us Part 2 is coming out. I think this is the more solid release date that we're going to get for The Last of Us Part 2, unfortunately, just based off of my own reasoning for not wanting to have it in February of 2020. But nonetheless, let me know what you have to say in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, I would appreciate it if you subscribed. And as always, I've been TheStarkz. Peace.